Morning. Workout number 22, and interesting one today. It's going to be 20 different exercises, but I think I said earlier on in the week there's going to be an exercise this week where we're just going to be continually working. So this is that time. So we're going to be going from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Very, very quick water breaks in between when needed. But yeah, we're not going to be repeating any exercises today. So it's going to be 20 completely different exercises. Dumbbells, kettlebells, seated position, standing position, whole body, the whole works. So, interested to see how this one goes. I need to see how out of breath we get. So first one is going to be seated curls. So the format's going to be, we're going to work right the way through to the minute and then change to the next exercise as quickly as you possibly can. So you're going to work for the rest of that minute and repeat that process until we get to the end of the 20th exercise. Okay, so seated curls, we're going to go. So, so seated position, do hammer curls, so knuckles facing out. What we're looking to do here is stay nice and upright, straight back, so that you're already engaging the core, working the core muscles, so you're not slouched over. Elbows tucked in, upper body nice and still. So we're just extending that arm, stretching out the bicep at the bottom, and then curling it in right at the top until you can't go further with that weight. Obviously locking out the shoulders and the back muscles to keep everything nice and still upstairs. Okay, now that's the full minute. Now seated press. So, open palm. So again, you've got to focus on that back being nice and straight. Align on that core. And the weight's obviously sitting right down the shoulders, so you're working all the way from the bottom all the way up. But obviously with no breather in this, just continual work. Never done this workout before in my life, so it's just pure guesswork with the weights to make sure I could work all the way up to the end of that minute. So if I'm scrambling to adjust the weight, it's because I'm struggling or it's a bit too easy. But the idea is no rest, 20 minutes of solid work. Okay, so next one, kettlebell circles, some strong stance. And you're trying to keep the upper body relatively stable. Core is constantly tense, braced. We're going to go one way for half a minute, or as close to half a minute as possible. And I'm going to switch direction. Now, and then once we've done this one, this is good for core stability, working that core, shifting that weight all around your body. Strong stance, as I said before, digging your toes into the ground. Next one is going to be dumbbell lateral lunges. So, picking a nice light dumbbell here. So we go side on. So we're going to obviously it's a bit chaos in here, you've got loads of equipment out, not loads of room either, so you just got to be creative with the space that you've got. Okay, and the other side. It's that sideways lunge, trying to push your bum backwards, keeping your back straight, stretching out that weight in front of you on that low position. Okay, kettlebell up and over. So it's going to be starting your chest, reach high and back. So you can see as if I'm passing that weight up to somebody up above and behind me. So really stretching out the shoulder joints. Really good one for your shoulders. So all the way to your chest, all the way up and back. Open out that chest as well. Working the shoulder joint. Stretching out backwards. So back and high. And then onto a tricep, lying tricep, known as a skull crusher. So back on the bench. Head at the top of the bench, slight angle on the arm, locked at the shoulder, and squeeze, extend out. Very, very good exercise for the tricep, this is. Using an awful lot of muscles to keep those arms nice and still, nice and steady. If you notice the angle from the shoulder to my elbow, try and maintain that angle as best I can by knocking out the shoulders, and then all the movement comes from the elbow. All the way down, stretch out the tricep and then contract all the way to the top, locking it out. I could have gone a little bit heavy on that one, but there we go. Okay. Alternate frontal raises. So working the front of the shoulder now. So like with everything stood up, nice strong stance. Knuckles facing the ceiling. Arms slightly bent but then locked out at the elbow. And what we're doing, we're working full range of motion. So taking that weight from the thigh all the way up to 12 o'clock position. This one is going to be standing tibialis raises. So, find a wall, feet straighten out. So feet probably just about hip width apart, legs locked out, flat on the floor. And we're trying to keep our legs straight, knees straight. And what we're doing is we're curling our toes into the shin. So as high as we can, just hold it up there for a second or two and then stretch back down. Basically this is working that tibialis muscle. So for those of you who do sports that use a lot of agility, it basically just helps you slow down the deceleration. Obviously going downstairs and things like that makes you a bit stronger in that position, so it's a real good exercise to work that muscle. So that's the front of the ankle, and we go straight to the calf raise, so we use the slant board. So that creates an angle, so it stretches out the Achilles, stretches out the calf and the soleus. Obviously there's variants, you could do single leg, you could do up and over. You could do various ones, but basically looking to stretch it out and then a momentary pause at the top. Obviously using full body weight. If you did them single, obviously it's double the load, but for this purpose, obviously working the full minute, you need to be sensible with what you're doing. Okay, then we go straight after this one, working the calf. So in those two exercises you work the shin muscle, the tibialis and the calf. Both muscles, front and back of the ankle. So really good at strengthening the ankle, those two exercises. So then, dumbbell flies, back on the bench. Okay, so arms slightly bent but then locked at the elbow. Now look, what we're looking to do is open out the chest. So it's like a capital T, that formation, keeping those weights kind of in line with your head. And then it's just a question of going a little bit lower each time. And then squeezing at the top. Using the chest muscles, the bicep muscles, the front of the shoulder. Just to bring those dumbbells back at the top. Okay, that's that one. Go into the abs. Bit of a pad down for the knees. Rolling out. If you want to just stay in that work, you just stay low. You don't come all the way back, but obviously I've got to last the majority of a minute here, so but you're looking to stretch right out, build up those core muscles. One more in quickly. Okay, so we're going to stretch straight from the front of the core to the back. The rolling chair. So stretching out and a little tense at the top. Working the hamstrings, the glutes, lower back, but at the same time stretching out your back and hamstrings. Obviously, if you're working strength, you can load up with a kettlebell or a dumbbell held at your chest. But this is continual work. Okay, another leg on. So, briefcase squat. So imagine you're holding two briefcases. So this one encourages you to keep your back straight and shoulders back. Be interesting to see when you're doing this whether your feet will stay flat on the floor, because in that low position my heels lift up. There. Going back on the bench for dumbbell rear flies. It's a much weaker muscle, so hence a lighter weight. Just face down. Now ideally you'd want the bench higher, but so you can come down, but it doesn't matter, you're still in that window where it works the muscles. Anything lower than this, you're relaxing anyway, so it does feel like you're restricted with movement. You feel like you want to get the weights higher, but back of the shoulder, the one boys are really burning. Traps as well. Again, it doesn't look like much of a weight, but it's really working those muscles. Please don't be the back or the shoulders. Okay. Staying on the bench. Overarm reach, so head at the top of the bench again. Now we're just going all the way as low as we can, and then using the back muscles, backs of the shoulders to drive that weight back up. It's an underarm grip, so you see my palms are facing up to the ceiling, forming like a triangle around that weight to make sure I don't drop it on my face. But really looking to stretch back, trying to undo that work of just being slouched over the computer all day. Open out the chest, open out the back. Oh, there we go. Some kettlebell dead bugs. Lying down, holding that weight ahead. You're literally just going to stretch out, flex the toe in, and then rotate. So heels just a couple inches off the floor. Keeping that weight. Lift your head up off the floor and keep a gap between chin and chest if you want to. Or you can rest that part. Obviously this is working your hip flexors and lower abs. Okay, alternating snatches off the floor. So we're driving up and switch. Being careful, take care of your back. Obviously, that low position, you're having to use the quads, hamstring, glutes to drive you through. The kettlebell halo. So, I like to go one way then the other. It's up to you. You can go one way for half a minute and then go one way for the other half. It's up to you. But you're looking to, it's a real good shoulder mobility one, where you're just rotating, trying to make a big circle, but keeping that weight close, all the way around your head, right hitting your head. Again, stood up, so it's that strong stance position, core braced. We've got 2 exercises to go after this. This 20 minutes has flown by just doing one exercise after the next. Next one's going to be an upward row. So that stance again, pointy elbows, weight close to your body. So this is a pull. You're pulling up to your chin. So middle part of the shoulder, traps, biceps, core, just for keeping the body nice and stable. Working all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. And I think the last exercise, complete 20 minutes. is going to be the kettlebell thrusters. Just realised I don't think I had a drink. No time for that. I've got to down myself there. Okay, so weighted on your chest, and now we're going from that pull to that push. Last exercise. Unbelievable how quick this has gone. I purposely chose a difficult one to finish with, not knowing what condition I'd be in, but it's kind of like a good finisher. Whatever you've got left, put it into this exercise because we're done in 10 seconds. There we go. Whole body done, blitzed. We play around with the weight a bit. Some of those are a little bit too light, to be honest, but for demo purposes really, giving you another idea what you can do, change it up so it doesn't get boring. So the thing is, so it's not getting boring for you. You're still getting the work done. Obviously I'm a little bit out of breath after that. Not as out of breath as I've been in some of the workouts, so I must admit, and I think that's down to the weight choice. Obviously if I was to do that again, I'd tweak the weight, increase the weight on some of those, make it a little bit more grueling. That was moderate to hard for me, so it all depends on how hard you want to push yourself, but also changing up the what you do occasionally also is very good for the confusing the central nervous system, shocking the body into doing things it's not used to do. And the benefit of doing that, if done properly, you're going to create that stimulus. So create a good stimulus within the training session, and then once that's done and dusted, obviously you take care of yourself with protein and hydration and all the nutritional food to back up the hard work you put in. And then over the next 24-48 hours, your body makes those necessary adjustments on the back of the stimulus that you've just created in that workout. So that's why obviously lifestyle, nutrition, sleep's really important, because that's where the adaptations take part in your sleep. Getting good quality sleep backed up with good nutrition, good hydration. Check those calves. Okay, there we have it. 20 minutes. Workout 22 done. One more to go. Friday tomorrow. That extra bit of energy tomorrow morning to finish the week strong. I think we're going to go for AMRAP, as many reps as possible on a certain sequence of exercises. So that will be repetitive, maybe 5 or 6 exercises, but just going for a set number. Again, just as many as you can do in the allocated time. So very little rest recovery time tomorrow, but again, different exercise, different stimulus. So same time, same place tomorrow, and I look forward to it. Have a great day.